Imagine the absolute silence. You step onto a rough surface, covered by red dust, while the sun slowly hides on the horizon. The sky, before golden, begins to gain bluish tones that we have never seen on Earth. The cold approaches with a frightening speed. In minutes, the temperature plummets dozens of degrees. There are no trees, there is no wind as we know it. Just a weak sound, almost a whisper, captured by your helmet, the light noise of the planet itself breathing in silence. You are on Mars. And this is the night. But what is it really like? What happens when the sun sets on such a distant planet? Will we be ready to live such an extreme scenario? Today, you will discover, with real data, sounds captured by rovers, and an immersive experience, what it is like to spend an entire night on the red planet. Humanity has always looked to the sky in search of answers, and now looks to Mars in search of a new home. With the missions of NASA, of SpaceX, and of space agencies around the world, to colonize the red planet has ceased to be science fiction and has become a real plan. But the question that remains is not only if we can get there. The true question is, are we prepared to live on Mars? The answer may be in the night. Because if we don't manage to survive it, perhaps we are still not ready for what comes after. On Mars, the day lasts almost the same as on Earth, about 24 hours and 37 minutes. But when the sun says goodbye, the planet reveals its true face. Hostile, cold, and completely solitary. With an atmosphere composed of more than 95% carbon dioxide and extremely thin, the heat does not maintain itself after sunset. While on Earth the air functions like a natural thermal blanket, on Mars it simply does not exist to protect us. As soon as the sun disappears, the temperature can plummet to up to -90 degrees Celsius in some regions. The landscapes gain an even more somber tone. Without vegetation, without ambient sound, the planet plunges into a silent darkness. And this darkness is not just absence of light, it is absence of life, of movement, of any form of heat. Rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance have already faced these frigid nights. Their sensors have registered the brutal drop in temperature, the cutting winds, and the almost absolute silence. Even equipped with cutting-edge technology, each minute in the dark represents an extreme challenge. And it is in this scenario that the experience becomes even more intense, because on Mars, the night does not forgive. Imagine walking in a desert so silent that even your own thoughts seem too loud. That's how the night sounds, or doesn't sound, on Mars. With an atmosphere 100 times thinner than Earth's, sound simply doesn't propagate as we are accustomed to. The winds exist, but their howls are muffled, distant, almost unreal. If someone shouted a few feet from you, you might not hear anything. NASA revealed real recordings made with microphones attached to the Perseverance and InSight rovers. What is heard is almost nothing. The light whistle of the Martian wind, the metallic creaking of the instruments themselves, and a deep silence. This silence is more than physical. It is psychological. On a planet where there are no voices, no footsteps, no animals, the sound of solitude becomes deafening. And under this invisible cloak, above a frozen ground and below an alien sky, the next question arises. What is seen on a night like this? If the silence of Mars is disturbing, its night sky is equally hypnotizing. Unlike Earth, where the dense atmosphere scatters the light and creates that soft blue tone during the day, on Mars, the sky at dusk tinges itself with deep blue around the sun, with the remainder of the horizon still in orangey and red tones. At night, the spectacle changes. The stars seem brighter, more defined. The rarefied atmosphere permits a clear and intense view of the universe. The sensation is of being in an open-air planetarium, but with no one nearby. Two small moons cross the sky. Phobos, which is born in the west and sets in the east in just 4 hours, and Deimos, smaller and slower, almost imperceptible. They do not illuminate like our moon, but they compose a surreal landscape. Some nights are calm. Others are completely obscured by dust storms, which can last weeks. On those nights, Not even the stars escape, everything is darkness. You look upwards and see the infinite, but you also perceive how much you are alone. And while the sky observes in silence, the night continues. Now, imagine passing through each one of these hours, one by one. Now close your eyes, and imagine that you are there. 18 hours ago, the sun bids farewell to the Martian horizon. The reddish light gives way to a cold blue. The temperature drops with frightening speed. You feel the cold seep into even the equipment. Everything begins to freeze. The ground, the metallic surfaces, even the sensors. 20 hours ago, silence dominates. No sound, no sign of life. Only the sound of your own oxygen circulating in the suit. You look around and everything seems still, like a painting in slow motion. Earth is just an invisible dot in the sky. Midnight in Mars. The visor displays -85 degrees Celsius. Your hands tremble, even with internal heating. Phobos crosses the sky quickly. A dust storm forms in the distance, obscuring the horizon. There is no strong wind, but there is tension in the air. Visibility drops. 3 a.m. You awaken from a light nap. The feeling of loneliness is immense. Your heartbeats are high. Even the sound of your heart seems louder than the environment. You say something just to be sure that your voice still exists. 6 a.m. A faint glow appears on the horizon. The sunlight returns. Slowly, the cold begins to recede, but the landscape remains frozen, still. You survived the night. And even so, the question echoes. If a simple night on Mars is like this, what would it be like to live an entire life on that planet? On Earth, the night is a time of rest, contemplation, perhaps even of poetry. It is common for us to hear the sound of crickets, to feel the light wind between the trees, to see the moon shining intensely in the sky. Already on Mars, the night is a test. There are no familiar sounds, nor residual heat. The atmosphere does not protect, it condemns. While here the night represents a natural and welcoming cycle, there it imposes a brutal challenge to life. It is nature in its rawest form, devoid of comfort or empathy. This comparison reveals a simple but powerful truth. It is not only the distance that separates us from Mars. It is the essence of what we call home. And for this reason, with each mission, with each piece of data collected, we return to the same question. Are we really prepared to transform Mars into a home? After all that you have seen, heard, and felt, imagine, what if one day it was you there? What if your day ended with a bluish sunset? If your nights were long, silent, and frigid? If your steps echoed alone on a lifeless planet? What makes us ready to live on Mars is not the technology. It is the courage to face the unknown. It is the ability to adapt the impossible to reality. And perhaps, by understanding the night on Mars, we might better understand the importance of Earth.